derpy as usual. Hello ladies and gents of the internet. By the time that this video is up, it will be September 11th. This day is now remembered among Americans every single year. Remember that we are not an invincible country and that bad things can happen to us. Now there are two types of people in the world. The kind of people who care about September 11th and the kind of people who do not care about September 11th. Now the point of this video is to discuss something that I found on Tumblr. This is a blog post that I found that discusses how we as Americans should move on from September the 11th. Now as a disclaimer, this particular blog post comes from a blog called theunpopularopinions.tumblr.com, and I'll have the link to that below if you would like to read it yourself. I am going to read it aloud and then I have a couple talking points that I want to discuss with all of you. This particular blog takes submissions and confessions from anonymous people among the internet, so anyone can submit. So if you are upset wildly by this particular confession, don't go and attack the original blog, because they state clearly that the opinions featured are not their own and they are not written by them. So once again, I'm going to read this out loud real quick. You're more than welcome to go to the source and read it yourself, and then come back and then skip ahead to where I'm actually talking about the things that I think are important. I think the USA needs to move on from September 11th. Now before you all pseudo-patriots come attempting to sway my opinions with your unwavering loyalty to your country, let me just take a minute to explain things. I am an American, I am a female, and I was a young girl when the events took place. The events are tragic, I'm not saying that they aren't, but the US government and the media make it out to be some worldwide catastrophe that claimed the lives of millions of people around the world, when really the events only killed about 2,600 people, which in the grand scheme of things for a large country like the United States isn't a huge number. Also, we're Americans. Not only are we extremely self-absorbed with our ignorance fueled by the liberally biased media, we're hardly sympathetic for our victims. We forced unspeakable violence upon the natives when we came here. We killed almost 150,000 people in dropping the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we've pointlessly murdered innocent people in the Middle East. I understand that a lot of people died and I should be respecting them, but while we honor the dead, we can't have these extravagant 2-hour TV specials reading the names of all the people who died 12 years after the disaster. You don't see Japan having these insane specials reading off the names of people who died in their terrorist attacks. Yes, that qualifies as a terrorist attack. I honestly don't care anymore. Terrorist attacks happen all the time in other countries every day. Just because this one happened in America doesn't make it any different. It was a terrible thing that happened, but it's been 12 years. We killed Osama, why are we still in Iraq? I will never know, but that's a story for another time. The USA is comparable to a person who still clings to their ex-spouse or significant other years after they broke up. We have to move on with our lives, not forget about it completely, but just move on and keep it in the back of our thoughts. So again, I have a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. To compare America to a weepy person who is mourning over their spouse or ex after they've broken up is absolutely ridiculous. Usually when people mourn over an ex, it's because they missed that bootay, and I'm pretty sure that that is not the case that's going on with America. The events of September 11th were plane crashes into buildings, and unless your ex has crashed planes into buildings, I don't think that you can draw a line comparison between the two. Second, this post is completely discredited after the statement saying that we are still in Iraq. Either this was written a couple of years ago and it's just now getting on the internet, or this is a recent thing and the person is completely uninformed. That was a big talking point that Obama made about wanting to make sure that we got out of Iraq. Yes, we are still in the Middle East for different reasons, but we are no longer in Iraq. The lines drawn between the bombings in Japan that we did during World War II and the attacks, those are two completely clashing and different issues. If you look back in history, we were not involved in World War II. We were at a really good place and we were kind of just like, this is not a battle, it's not going on anywhere near us, we don't want to get involved, please just stay away from us. And then Japan came and bombed Pearl Harbor. In some senses they are very similar, where a foreign country came and attacked America and we responded by attacking them back. Our world leaders at the time of September 11th responded the best way that they thought they could, and everyone at the time was totally in support of them. So in some senses, this is also very different, because the attacks on the trade centers were an unprovoked attack from a country that we had no real issues with at that point. There was not a world war going on. The Middle East was not trying to wage war against the rest of the world. And Japan attacked us because they wanted us involved in the war. We were attacked on September 11th because there are people in this world that hate Americans. Just because we are Americans. This post on a whole is really disrespectful to the entire event. It disrespects the people that were on the planes, it disrespects the people that were in the buildings, and it disrespects the people that went to the Middle East to fight to make sure that we were safe. As far as I can remember, I haven't had a singular point in any of my years in school besides in 2001 where we actually stopped what we were doing and had a moment of silence. I remember they would bring it upon the PAs and be like, hey, today's September 11th, if you would like to keep it in your thoughts. Keep it in your thoughts, and you know, if you need grief counseling or whatever, that's available to you. The TV specials have always been on the news. If you don't want to watch the news, you don't have to. There's like 7,000 channels on television these days. I don't think it's that much of an inconvenience out of the 365 days we have a year to remember that we as a country are not completely invincible. The point of remembering something isn't to wallow in the sadness and to just be bumbling fools about it. That's not what September 11th is about. The reason why big events don't happen in America frequently is because we have a government that tries its best to take care of us. That event that happened on September 11th was the biggest one to happen in a very long time from a foreign country. Yes, we have insane people that walk around the United States day after day after day and do horrendous things like school shootings and school bombings. This, however, was an attack from a foreign country. It was not a domestic issue. So to say that this day is not important enough to remember and that it needs to be moved on from is not only disrespectful, but it's totally ignorant. And I think that it's totally rude to say that we have insane specials listing off the names of the dead. If you think that remembering someone's family is insane, then maybe you shouldn't be an American. We are this big, united, collective people, and we have important dates like this so that we can remember and all remember that we are unified and that we live in this great country, which does have its problems, but we live in a fantastic place and we are all together in this to achieve this American dream goal. If you don't want to remember the people that died, fine, turn on some other channel on television or don't watch TV at all today. I greatly respect the opinions of others. I think it's important that we all have our own opinions about issues. However, I think that when important things like September 11th come around, it's important to approach the issue with tact, with respect, and with intelligence. This submission was littered with incorrect facts and drawing lines that aren't appropriate to draw. This submission clearly came from someone who does not care about the day or the sentiments behind it, which run very deep and wide. Therefore, they have every right to not honor the occasion and they don't have to care about it. With that in mind, it is completely disrespectful to imply that anyone who does hold reverence to this day is either out of their mind or insane, and that they're acting like pouty people who can't get over the loss of their ex. Because drawing that comparison between what's going on with the reference to September 11th and being sad about losing someone that you once had are completely different issues and are completely disrespectful. And to that end, I do not respect the original submitter for comparing those two things. I would really like to hear what your thoughts are on this issue. I don't want to hear about the war. I don't want any comments about what happened afterwards. I want specifics of this date and if you think that today is important to remember or not and why. And let's try to be tactful. Let's try not to attack other people. Again, today should be a day where we all remember that we are united as one country. Let's try not to be a house divided. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you guys all again next time. Bye!